Inspired Talks, Pranamantra. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. We are discussing Swamiji's words on August 4th. It was a Sunday. And Swamiji had talked a lot. So, and as I've told you many times, nothing like Inspired Talks. Swamiji has given us so many ideas. So many ideas. In fact, most of those ideas you don't find any of the sacred books, and yet these form the core of spiritual life. That's the beauty of it. And at the same time there's some explanatory words as far as spirituality is concerned, and you do not find those words too anywhere. That's why the importance of inspired talks more than say any other work. Now if you look at say Swamiji's Practical Vedanta, if you look at Gyan Yoga, they also have lots of original things there. But Inspired Talks is like Sri Krishna talking Gita. Inspired Talks, exactly that. Principles exist, we do not create them. Like laws of gravitation. Newton didn't create them. They were always there. We only discovered them. Religion consists solely in realization. So, see, unless you have realized something, unless you have realized God or whatever, the little that you have, and intellectual understanding is not counted in that huge list. It must be your realization, neither your perception, nor what you have learned, nor what you have understood, and not what you have thought out. You must have seen it. Religion says seeing is believing. Just that others too should be able to see that. That's the only thing. Doctrines are methods, not religion. So you have realization. Realization, when applied to a society, becomes a religion. And from there, they become doctrines. And these doctrines have been the bane of the world because most of these calcified religions, that's the only word you can use about them, calcified religions, they go by doctrines, and people have forgotten why those doctrines came. All the different religions are but applications of the one religion adopted to soothe the requirement of different nations. And Swamiji had a theory that Vedanta means religion. Vedanta is religion. When you apply its different aspects in different society, it becomes a different religion. That means there are certain spiritual principles, there are core principles. And when you apply that, so when you take the yoga aspect of Vedanta, it becomes Buddhism. When you take the dualistic aspect with certain modifications, it becomes Abrahamic religion, etc. Theories only lead to fighting. Thus, the name of God that ought to bring peace has been the cause of half the bloodshed of the world. Wherever you see this bombing and wherever you see suicide bombers in the name of religion, one thing is very clear. These people have no idea about religion. They don't understand religion. They're fighting over doctrines. There was this great French philosopher, Voltaire, and he had written a very funny book, Micromegas. Of course, his most famous work is Candide, known as Coda. In Micromegas, he beautifully brings up this issue. It's an extremely funny book, something like that story of Lilliput, something like that, Gulliver's Travels. But that Lilliput aspect, he says that so many people are killing so many people simply to decide whether or not this is to be done, that is to be done. It's very unfortunate. Actually, if you go at the root, you'll find that people in general are not that intelligent. Well, that's one conclusion that that I have reached at. Go to any field, even amongst best of scientists, you'll find that really smart people, there are very few. Go to medical sciences, go to engineering, same thing. And when it comes to religion, I think maximum number of people who don't understand their subject must belong to religion. Go to the direct source. Ask God what He is. Let me tell you a very, very ordinary, small personal experience. I learned a lot from one of our senior monks, and I used to keep asking him so many questions, this, that, and sometimes he used to get annoyed and say, meditate. When God appears, Thakur appears, ask him, he will give you the answer. Ultimately, all your answers come from within. A teacher may go on teaching you for aeons. You can go on reading thousands of books and millions of books. But the real answer will come only from within. Some information may come from outside. For example, well, I'm here in Kolkata, that's Howrah district. I want to know what time a particular train leaves from Howrah for Delhi. That's an information. Probably that will not come through meditation, or yogis will say that they can find that out through that too through meditation. That's a different thing. But ordinarily, this is a kind of information that you can get from the concerned authorities. But when it comes to matters of spirituality and religion, you'll have to ask God. Because He is the concerned authority, He is the source. If you want to know something about medicine, you go to a doctor. When you want to know railway timetable, you go to the railway authorities. When you want to know about God, you have to go to God. Sacred books will not help you. Whatever book, let's not forget, let's not name. But I'm a Hindu, so I can say the Vedas. The Vedas are not competent enough to tell you about God, because to know God, you have to go to God. You have to go and ask Him. If you want to know about me, if you truly want to know about me, you have to come and ask me. Whatever others are talking about me, that may be hearsay. People have their own opinions, and people have their own judgment. People have their own information. In most cases, those informations are wrong, and we keep complaining that you never try to understand me. Forget about understanding. You don't even know me. You don't know lots of things about me. How do you expect to know about God? If you truly want to know about God, truly, you have to go to God and ask Him, "Oh Lord, tell me," etc. Now, these things are to be understood very seriously. If there is one book which is extremely subtle, of course, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is there, and we have been talking on Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrit in Bengali. It's not possible for us to deliver those talks in English. However, when it comes to inspired talks, it becomes a little more complicated simply because it has an extremely wide range of subjects, and Swamiji has been talking about too many subjects, and all these things make it pretty profound. Everything that Swamiji has said, know that each of these words is the truth as far as that particular area of interest is concerned. Unless he answers, he is not. But every religion teaches that he does answer. Yes, that's very interesting. Every religion will tell you that God answers directly. Well, God talked to Prophet Muhammad, commanded him. Same with Jesus, same with Moses. So why can't you talk to me? There's such a simple reason. Have something to say for yourself, else how can you have any idea of what others have said? Now, this is something we have been telling you repeatedly. When you preach religion, you have to have your own understanding. No two religions are different. No two religions are same, and no two religious persons are same. No two Christians are same. Realization of two Christians can never be same. Similarly, realization of two Vedantic monks can never be same. Realization of me and my brother monk can never be same. They have to be different because I'm a different person. Even in my realization, my mind will be there and my relations will be different. You should have something to say. Unless you have something to say, how can you go on talking only about what others have said? You should have some understanding, some realization. Do not cling to old superstitions. Be ever ready for new truths. Somebody told something like, forget about simply quoting. People don't even find a complete and a coherent and a comprehensive idea of what their masters have said. For example, no, I don't mean criticism, I'm just narrating. We have lots of devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, and definitely they have read Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita in English Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, or Sri Mayar Katha, popularly known as Gospel of Holy Mother. And if I say something, they will immediately counter me. Mother has said like this, or Thakur has said like this, as if, as if I have not read that book, as if I have not understood that book. And at times I get annoyed and I said, you think that you have understood and I have not understood. Same with some of these sects, Shaivites. They think that they only have the truth. And the Vaishnavas, God saved them. That's the only thing you can say. They think only they have understood religion. Is it possible? You don't even understand your own scriptures properly. Same with Vedanta. They don't understand their scriptures properly. Try talking to most of those monks in the Himalayan region. I don't mean any criticism. I'm stating a fact. Of course, in every sect you'll find some great ones. If there were no great ones, that sect wouldn't have survived. Now, what Swamiji is saying here, first understand what is your tradition, then have your own realization, and preach your scriptures in the light of your realization. That's the correct way of preaching. Then Swamiji quotes famous saying, fools are those who drink brackish water from a well, etc., etc. That means when perennial water of Ganga is flowing, why should you be drinking brackish water? When God is there, when you can go and ask God directly, what is God relation like? What do you think about it? And Sri Ramakrishna has practically demonstrated every time he has some confusion, some problem, he would run to Mother Kali and ask, and Mother Kali would answer. Now, if we go running, Mother Kali will not answer because we are not ready for it. We have not done the necessary spiritual practices. Until we realize God for ourselves, we can know nothing about Him. That's the thing. So you may go on reading scriptures, you may go on explaining scriptures, but you'll not understand of God unless you have realized it. How can you understand? Unless you have truly seen a thing, no amount of reading or listening can help. And each one of us has such experiences. Or smallest thing, like when you were a kid, your friends might have told you how the Himalayas look. When you went, you must have felt, oh my God, it is this. Each man is perfect by his nature. Prophets have manifested this perfection as potential in us. Perfection means spiritual realization. We are Atman. Prophets have realized that they are Atman. We are also Atman. Just that what was manifested in them is still potential in us. How can we understand that Moses saw God unless we too see him? That's why only a prophet can understand a prophet. And people who are fighting in the name of prophets, well, what can we say about them? If God ever came to anyone, he will come to me. I'll go to God direct. Let him talk to me. I cannot take belief as a basis. That is atheism and blasphemy. Swami uses extremely strong words. In Pakistan is a very interesting country. In fact, personally, I find it very interesting. Totally confused state. Now, what I have read in newspapers, I can tell only that. There's a particular sect. They claim themselves to be Muslim. But the more orthodox ones of Pakistan, they don't accept them as Muslims. So it's prohibited for them to read from the Quran. And they apply laws of blasphemy. They have a blasphemy law. And they apply on them. Because they say that they are Muslims. So much so about the brotherhood of Islam. Like, if you have to be Muslim, you have to belong to one of their sects. And they say that no, we don't accept this particular sect as being Muslim. And they apply laws of blasphemy. Meaning, you don't understand Islam, you don't understand Quran, and you are defiling Quran by speaking from it. Fair enough. Nothing wrong with it. But dear rulers who have all the power, who can apply these laws, do you understand? Do you understand what Prophet meant to say? Have you done practices? Have you done spiritual practices? Have you done sadhana? Have you seen your own God? No, you have not. Then aren't you indulging in blasphemy? If you yourself have not seen, see, we don't have this problem in Hindu religion. There can be no blasphemy in Hindu religion. But religions that talk about blasphemy and the punishment for such blasphemy is death. But what about you people? Do you understand? No, you don't. This is what Swamiji is saying. These are not my words, Swamiji's words. That atheism, this is atheism. When you're taking it as mere words, it's atheism. And it's blasphemy. You too deserve to be hanged. Strong words. Nevertheless, true. If God spoke to a man in the deserts of Arabia 2000 years ago, he can also speak to me today. Else, how can I know that he has not died? There's a famous book, Thus Spake Zarathustra by Nietzsche. It narrates a beautiful story. Beautiful story. There's a person who had done a lot of sadhana on a mountain and he's coming down and he meets somebody who is into sadhana. And well, the word goes on God. And this person, who later becomes the protagonist, says, "Doesn't you know that God is dead?" This is a very famous saying by Nietzsche. Swamiji is quoting actually from there. "Doesn't you know that God is dead?" But actually, what he meant was, by God, he meant Jesus Christ was crucified. Well, that's what I had read somewhere. Because I read that book when I was pretty young and probably not fit enough to understand. Yeah, I felt that our Vedanta is far more cohesive. But Nietzsche, great thinker of his time. Maybe not like Spinoza, but Nietzsche was a great thinker. He gave the idea of Superman, which was later on taken by persons like Bernard Shaw. And Bernard Shaw wrote his plays based on the ideas of Nietzsche. In fact, his very famous drama, Man and Superman, it is based on the works of Nietzsche. And meanwhile, supposing Jesus talked about God, or Prophet Muhammad talked about God, now 2000 years have passed. Maybe that God is dead by now. So I must go and talk. It's slightly humor in that. The knowing ones must have pity on the ignorant. It's from Gita, where it says that if you understand religion, don't try to unsettle the faith of the ignorant. Have compassion and behave like them. From there, take them up. Normally, what happens when we come across somebody who is not good enough, we criticize them. We say you are wrong. And in some religions, they're ready to cut off people's head. But Gita says, Jo Shayet Sarva Karmani Vidwan Yukta Samacharan. If you are a truly wise person, Na Buddhi Vedam Agyanam, don't unsettle their mind. Go, be with them, behave the way they behave, work the way they work, and from there you give them ideas and slowly pull them up. Teaching is a very difficult profession. I've been a teacher, I know. That was the end of the day, and then August 5 begins. Now in August 5, Swamiji comes up with a wonderful concept. I'll just tell it in short. Just now we talked about Nietzsche, where he is talking about Superman. And Swamiji also once in a while has talked about this concept of Superman. Just that the idea of Superman by Nietzsche or by Bernard Shaw is different from what Swamiji thought as a Superman. For Swamiji, Superman was a Jivan Mukta Purus. Jivan Mukta Purus means one who has realized Atman here itself, one who is free. Interestingly, Nietzsche's Superman is also like that, but he's not spiritually realized. He has controlled his passions, etc. But they don't have concept of the self-realization. They don't have this concept of Jivan Mukti. So naturally, their ideas cannot be compared with us. We are too big that way. Swamiji has talked about this many times. Actually, Swamiji has combined this concept of Jivan Mukti and Bodhisattva, concept of Bodhisattva, like Buddha being born more than 500 times till he reached that stage where he was perfect. With the theory of evolution, or whatever you call by Charles Darwin, when you combine these three theories, Bodhisattva from Buddhist, Jivan Mukti from Vedanta, and Darwin's evolutionary theory or hypothesis, whatever you call. When you combine these three things, some very strange things come out. In fact, dear listeners, indeed it will take more than 1,000 years to work out all the theories that Swamiji has given for us. Even this simple thing, there was a time, I'm sorry to say, or rather I'm ashamed to say, I was working on this theory. I wanted to write a book on this particular idea that Swamiji has said, that combining idea of evolution and Swamiji's idea about living the future right away. This idea is already there in Gita where it says, Yahiv Tejita Sargo Isham Samyastitang Mana. Person conquers all this world one once he conquers his mind. This is Jivan Mukti. Swamiji says that entire civilization, not one or two persons, entire civilization is moving towards that perfection. Perfection is self-realization. And then Swamiji comes up with three very interesting things. Or rather, two very interesting things. One is, you know, there was this great scientist, Archimedes. He found out that law of buoyancy. And it was such a wonderful discovery, that the story goes that he ran through the streets without any clothes, shouting, Eureka, Eureka. And what was a momentous discovery is not taught in class 6. Think of the laws of motion, laws of gravitation given by Newton. By the time you reach class 8, class 9, you learn it. And these were truly earth-shattering discoveries, or whatever you call the theories. That means our brain has evolved so much that Swami says the modern American boy takes 25 years to attain that, which his forefathers took hundreds of years to do. And now with the internet there, I know one small boy, Shivangs. He was barely 7 years old. And he explained to me what is theory of relativity. And he said it was given by Einstein. And actually it means this. And it means that if a paper clip can be converted into an atomic bomb, it will have this power, that power. I was surprised. He just rattled off all these statements. Barely 7 years old. I just twisted the question to see if he has understood. I found he has not understood anything. So information is there, understanding is lacking. And this is something that's going to happen to this modern generation. They will have the information, they will lack the understanding. That's not important. Some of them will have the understanding. At 7, when you are 7, you may not have the understanding, but when you grow up, you will have the understanding. So I asked his mom, how could he? Just by watching internet and reading these books and that books. Mistakenly, sometimes we say that these are prodigies. They are not. Somehow they have got the information. Simply because you get the information, the way Archimedes got the information of, they discovered the law of buoyancy. It was immediately applied to all the boats, etc., because boats used to sink and then these were applied. Now, once you learn it in class 6, you cannot go on doing all those things to boats, etc. You need time. Your brain has to mature. However, the fact that you can learn things that your ancestors took thousands of years to reach at a very young age. I mean, that's a fact. Now, something Swamiji says, which at the time of Swamiji was not known, but now it's absolutely known. It's amazing how Swamiji was rarely wrong. He says, when a baby is born, it's a combination of sperm and egg. These two meet. And those of you who know biology, you know through mitosis and meiosis and all those things, it just keeps growing. And as it keeps growing, Swamiji did not know in those days because gene had not yet been discovered. Says on the physical side, the embryo goes from the amoeba to man in the womb. And today we know that each one of us, we carry the gene of the entire evolutionary process. When Swamiji is talking about being unicellular, amoeba to human, nearly 50 years after Swamiji had gone, that genes were discovered, DNA was discovered. And now we know that 99.9% of the gene that we carry are just junk. They're never used. They're what? They just remind that when life had first appeared, from that time till date, we are carrying everything. Between a man and a mouse, there is 99.9% of similarity of genes. That means, starting from the first evolution when life appeared, whatever the science has to say, till date, you go through that entire process, but very fast. Evolution might have taken millions of years, but you take barely 25 years to reach that level. And here Swamiji gives that amazing thing. He says, Vedanta goes further. The title that we have given, Vedanta goes further, and tells us that we not only have to live the life of all past humanity, but also the future life of all humanity. It should shake us all. It should shake us all. Not your future. Entire future of humanity. Where humanity will be, say, millions and billions years from now. You have to live here, right now. When Gita talks about conquering this entire universe by conquering your mind, what it means to say is exactly this. Some of the slower persons may take millions of years, maybe billions of years to reach perfection, to reach Jivan Mukti. But the achievements of the human race that's going to come in future has to be lived by you here and now. And that is spiritual realization. My dear listeners, it's shocking. Please believe me, you will be rattled. You might have come across people who say that they have visions of God, they have love of God. And I get some crazy people. And I consider each one of them crazy. Anyone who talks to me about Thakur lovingly, I know he's a crazy person. Because you love your mom. Do you go on talking about your mom? Your mom may be very beautiful. Do you go on talking about the beauty of your mom everywhere? People will think you crazy. But when you were young, when you were 5 year old, 6 year old, 7 year old, you might have talked about your mom to your classmates. My mom is like this, my mom does this, my papa does. But when you grow up, you don't. Every time you come across somebody talking about his Easter or her Easter, about Thakur or about Krishna or about their chosen ideal, know that he is an immature person. He is an extremely, that person is extremely immature spiritually. Only spiritually immature persons will talk like that. The way a kid talks about her mom. No gentleman, no grown up person will ever talk about his mom, or a girl will talk about her mom with her, will discuss her mom with her friends. It's your personal thing. So, those who talk about God, those who become emotional about God, those who keep on attacking others in the name of their God, they need to understand, they need to be told this very simple thing, a basic fact. Look, man, or look, lady, God realization means what the entire humanity will experience in the next billions of years till this creation continues. You will have to experience that right now. This is the meaning of God realization. And that's why God realized person has all the powers, all the yogic powers that you might have heard through Raj Yoga, or you might have read in stories, and all the stories about divine weapons used by Sri Rama and Sri Krishna. You have to have all those powers within you. Mind it. God realization is not about lying prostrate before God and, oh God, take me in your shelter and give me mukti. No, it's not. It's about going through the entire experience of all your past lives, not just in the form of genes, but actually in all your future. That's how Sri Ramakrishna could say that. He was Ram who was Krishna, Sri Ramakrishna. And that is why sects, some of these sects, they don't want to believe Sri Ramakrishna because they have no idea about these things. They just don't understand the intricacies of spiritual realization. They just believe in eating, drinking, and being merry and dancing their way to whatever. No. It may give you joy, it may give you momentary joy. It can never lead you to spiritual realization. Vedanta is the key to understanding spirituality. And according to that key, one of the prime criteria for spiritual realization is that before you have self realization, you'll know all your past lives, you'll have the power of all your past lives, and you will experience not only your future life, but the future life of the entire humanity. Can you imagine the things that you are heading for? And you really think that by taking the name of your Easter 108 times or 1,000 times or 1 lakh a day, you are going to attain that? You literally have to have power there. By your mere will, the mountains will crumble and the oceans will dry up. You literally have to have that power. Humanity, humanity is moving towards that. That kind of power that humanity will have. We are not talking about atomic bomb and hydrogen bomb, etc. We are talking about power of the mind. And that's what you will have. Now, when you combine Vedanta with Darwin's theory of evolution, this is the conclusion. And Swamiji has talked about it many times, not once, many times he says, The whole human society is moving towards that. The man who does the first is the educated man, he says, and second is the Jivan Mukta, forever free. That's what Jivan Mukta means. If you can, if you can acquire, say, within 25 years, 30 years, all that your ancestors acquired, you are an educated man. Who is an educated man? You have mastered everything that your ancestors mastered. Your ancestors took thousands of years to master that. You took just 20, 25 years to master that. Who is a Jivan Mukta? The one who is going to master the billions of years of human achievement here and now. Well, this is what we are heading to. This is what our goal is. This is what spiritual realization means. Stop here. Thank you so much.